In the early decades of the 20th century, as freight traffic expanded across New South Wales, the railways needed something strong, reliable and constant at the tail of every goods train. That answer came in the form of a steel brake van. Introduced in the 1930s and built in large numbers through the Second World War, the MAG type brake vans, later reclassified in various series, including MHG, became a familiar sight on freight trains across the state. Fully riveted steel construction replaced earlier timber-bodied vans, offering greater durability, fire resistance and strength for the long hauls between coalfields, ports and inland towns. Positioned at the very end of the train, the brake van served as the guard's mobile office and command post. Inside was a timber desk for paperwork, brake equipment to assist in controlling heavy loads, seating, storage and often a small stove in winter runs. Large side louvers provided ventilation, essential in Australia's heat, while allowing the guard to observe the train and listen for trouble. In the steam era, these vans rode behind endless strings of coal wagons, livestock trucks and general goods. The guard monitored the train's integrity, protected the rear with the lamps and flags, and applied the handbrake when descending steep grades. Every freight movement depended on the steady presence of that van at the rear. By the 1960s and 70s, diesel locomotives replaced steam. The railway practices evolved. Many of the older brake vans were rebuilt or repurposed. Some were converted for maintenance of way service, carrying tools and track crews rather than freight paperwork. Their classification changed, but their steel shells and sturdy frames kept working. Eventually, technological advances, continuous air brakes, radio communication and new operating rules made traditional brake vans redundant. One by one, they were withdrawn from service. Yet many survived, some were preserved by museums, others found unexpected second lives. No, their wheels no longer turn, they remain physical reminders of a time when every freight train ended with a small steel sentinel riding the rails. Today we visit one of those brake vans at Minto Primary School. Alright, well I'm currently standing in Minto Public School and the lovely principal and administration has given me permission to record their mini Minto or Little Minto School Museum, which resides currently inside this brake van, and it is a very interesting display, apparently very important in the past few years with the schools in the area, educating kids on what education was like 100 years ago. And you can see the outside is in a little bit of disrepair. There's a lot of rust on the roof and it needs a paint job, but it's very good condition inside, and we'll check that out in a minute. Apparently the brake van had been looked after by a number of different groups and volunteers, but that has slowly sort of depleted as people moving on and passing on. But the museum has been sitting here since 2007. Currently it was in a slightly different position and the army moved it with cranes, and you can see some of these pictures where the army has come in and moved the brake van over into this current position and then set it up on a foundation, concrete foundation, lattice work on the outside. Rotary Club apparently also was involved and looked after the paint work and the cleaning of the outside. And you can see here that the external is quite good. It has been looked after. It's had a number of paint jobs. A number of them also have been graffitied at different times, but luckily now it seems to be in good state from the outside paintwork. 11572. The door looks like it's been forced there a little bit, but it hasn't eventuated. The principal was telling me that there had been a number of vandalisms, had been broken into at one stage, and people had gotten in and ransacked the place. A little bit of rust on the base there. But yeah, there's our little walk around the outside. Rust on the roof. But we'll head around and we'll have a look in on the inside. There we go, Minto Public School Museum. Done for their centenary in 2017. We'll head inside. Up the stairs, you can see inside has been set up wonderfully like a small classroom. The wood smell and varnish is strong in this room, which I love. And you can see here some desks and seats. As I said, a real shame to see it sitting here without any custodians looking after it, other than obviously the wonderful staff here at Minto. But it does need a little bit of looking after to bring it back to some form of glory. And I mean, the guards van itself looks to be in fairly good condition. There's a little bit of water damage in the corner there, which is pretty standard, and they've plywooded out a lining which makes it all look very nice. It's got a wonderful wood smell in here. Here's a little bit of the history on the preservation of the guards van. Original picture of the museum. Condition and appearance of the museum has changed greatly over the years. When it was delivered, it was very dirty, graffitied, and had holes burnt in the floor. Helpers for the school painted it, fixed it up inside and out, timbered panelling. Later on, the army moved the museum and fixed the foundations and built the platform at the door. Ingleburn Rotary Club painted the museum and made it all for the gardens. Someone's done a cool little model of it there. And there is the picture of the brake van under the trees. Obviously it was moved to the front of the school. We're now currently sitting sort of here, so they've moved it from there to there. And these are obviously pictures of the army when the army moved it from under the trees. Some sort of hydraulic ram. And then somebody's graffitied it, which is very hateful, especially after it was repainted. Lots of old books, an old biscuit tin. All educational paraphernalia. School photos. History of the school. And not only history of the school, but history of the community as well. Over here we have a display cabinet with date stamps, mathematical instruments, inkwells, nibs and pens. And here's a little bit of information on Minto Railway Station. In the cupboard here we've got some irons, some wood shoe formers, an old plane, different books, so you can see here there is a lot of the original sort of benches and seats that they would have used, you know, mid-century or turn of the 18th to 19th century. A lot of these books look like they're from probably the 1920s. Yeah, from my knowledge of this stuff, it's 1920s. Can't see a date. But yes, boys' own schoolboys and schoolgirls books were very popular in the 20s and 30s. It promoted reading in young people, which is always a battle. Got some history on the school here. There's the school property. Amazing to see that the whole area around it is non-developed. Museum Born. History of a very important part of the education at Minto Public School. From what I understand, the museum, as we'll call it, is very much been a part of the school for a long time, and a lot of the area's culture. Can't really see that with the glare. There we go. In talking to the principal, she was saying that unfortunately it's been hard to find people to keep the museum running. It relied very much on volunteers, and a lot of the committee that was involved with the upkeep and the running was has passed on, unfortunately. Minto Public School Museum, 2007. So we're talking almost 20 years. The wooden floors seem to be in quite good condition. You can see here this area. This area here looks like the newer timber, and this area here is the older timber. It did mention that it was a burnt out floor when they received it, and obviously this is the area here that was repaired. The old speaker, Queen Elizabeth. I remember as a youngster these sort of photos were hanging in every school. You'd have it in your school hall, sitting above the flag. I don't tend to see King Charles's picture in school halls anymore.
They set me at the rear of the train, where the world grew small behind, watching miles unspool like ribbon through smoke and cinder and time. I wasn't built for glory, no polished brass and fame, just rivet, steel and duty, and a number for a name. The steam grew faint, the diesels came, the world began to change. They cleared my floor and stripped my stove, assigned a different range.
And now I stand in quieter yards where children pass and play. Desks and ink and photographs have slowly taken sway. The wheels don't turn beneath me now, no couplings pull or strain. But sometimes in the afternoon I almost feel the train.
Steel remembers movement, timber remembers hands, dust remembers footsteps that once crossed distant lands. So if you stand inside these walls and listen past the years, you might just hear the fading call of whistles in your ears. I was never meant for monuments, just service plain and plain. A quiet van that did its work at the rear of the train.